This is TWiT.
The other thing they said, I don't know if this is new or if it's just is underscoring something that already exists, but it's definitely a shot at Apple, which is getting a lot of heat for its 30% VIG in its App Store. They said you can bring your own commerce engine to the App Store, and we will take 0%.
We'll take 0. Well, they finally gave up on this dream, you know, that they can be Apple. And by the way, I think helping it is a lot of the regulatory attention. Microsoft's like, I don't know if we want any of that.
It also, it honestly puts some pressure on Apple. Now it explains Frank Shaw's op-ed piece in which he really excoriated Apple's App Store policies. That puts much more pressure on Apple. Now legislators and regulators can say, well, look at Microsoft. They don't charge. And
by the way, exactly 1 week ago, Amazon announced that it was lowering its revenue cut through the Amazon App Store from 30% to 20%. For developers who earn up to $1 million the prior calendar year. So kind of aping Apple's policy, which, by the way, you know,
Apple went down to 15%, I might point out, by the way.
It did, except, but here's the important distinction. Amazon's just doing it, right? Yeah. Amazon, this is the new policy. We're not, in Apple's case, you have to sign up. You have to be approved. You have to wait. It doesn't just happen automatically. It starts like the following year or whatever it is. I mean, Apple, I think obviously Apple knows the pressure that's happening, and they see what's happening, and you get the feeling they did this so they had something to point to and say, well, you know, we're doing the right thing over here. Look, it's not that bad. But Amazon, like a lot of the smaller stores you're starting to see, it just said, look, we're just going to go down, and you know, we'll see. Google, I think Google did 15% as well, right on the first. If I'm not mistaken,
yes,
15.
If you're under $1 million,
I think so.
And of course, the bulk of money is made with by companies like Amazon and Netflix that, of course, have more than $1 million in revenue yearly.
So the
it's a nice
Microsoft's
little tax the rich policy we should start thinking about more generally. By the way, but
but Microsoft's saying 0, right? We're not going to take a cut. You can bring your own app store.
It's not 0 for everybody, right?
If you use Microsoft's
it's 0
commerce,
if you bring your own third-party commerce platform. If you use Microsoft's platform, the split's still 85-15, unless you're a PC game developer, and then the split is going to be 88-12 starting August 1st. So there's a few little nuances in that, but mostly it's like, Microsoft's saying, look, we really want apps in our store, and we'll let you take the money.
You know, one of the things that Apple does not want is Steam or Epic to put a game store on iOS.
Sure.
And that's where the battle is going on between Apple and Epic in court.
Well, because that's where all the money's made.
Right.
I mean,
but Microsoft is, I think, saying, Epic, come on, you can be in our app store and use your own commerce platform.
Yeah, Epic charges their own fees, so they'll get all the money now. That makes sense for everybody. Although I think we all know Epic well enough to know they're not coming into the Microsoft store. But whatever, they could.
Steam might. Why not?
No, others, of course, and others they should really. But you know, on Apple's side, when you look at something like Xbox Cloud Gaming and the Xbox app on iOS, they're like, you can't do that. And it's almost like you want to think Apple almost doesn't understand how this model works. You know, we're not selling people. There's not a store. There's just a selection of games. They're paying a subscription fee, and they don't even want to allow that without that. You know, it's almost they wanted the right to approve every single game that went through the Xbox game cloud gaming service. Microsoft already does that. You know, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
So, you know, the App Store looks nice. It's pretty. But the complaints people have about Microsoft's App Store is more the quality of the apps.
A lot of reasons,
And did they address that at all? Or
they did, yeah. So there aren't major changes to the existing app types that will be in the store beyond the thing we just discussed, right? So obviously there are Win32 desktop apps, there are .NET apps, there are UWP, which are really mobile apps. There are hybrid apps that are kind of web, semi-native PWA type apps, that kind of thing. So that's all, you know, obviously that's all continuing forward. And I look through their, you know, Mary Jo mentioned there's a developer live thing and maybe there'll be some clarification, but looking through their blog post, honestly, for existing app types, I didn't see a lot of improvements or changes or however you want to word it for existing types of apps. Project Reunion it was always a code name, and that's going to become the Windows App SDK, not to confuse it with the Windows SDK, which is the old Win32 style SDK. And okay, cool. There's a name, and I don't. I think there are some things they didn't really say. There was this notion of this new widget panel thing that would be open, which I take to mean third parties can create widgets that run in this thing and that you as a user might be able to install in there. And they never discussed that explicitly.
Right.
No. So I guess we'll see if that happens or not. But yeah, I mean, by and large, I'm sorry. To answer the question, I'm sorry. The big partner that they mentioned was Adobe. And I think what this is going to do is get some of the big players who hadn't gone into the store before, because they're the ones charging for this service and they don't want to have whatever the percentage go to Microsoft. Well, Adobe has their own commerce engine, or they use whatever commerce engine they use, so they're not going to pay Microsoft anything. And now they will be in the store, and that benefits everyone. It's more exposure for customers who are using Windows 11 to those apps and servers. They're really subscription services, and that's good for Adobe. It's good for those users. It's good for Microsoft, because now people are sticking with Windows now. They're using Windows, and that really, I feel like they kind of lost track of this with the Windows 10, and it didn't. It really started in Windows 8, but this kind of mobile envy thing that led to an app store, that led to advertising everywhere, that led to bundling crapware, that led to telemetry that you can't turn off, because the only way we can, know what you're doing is if we're tracking you, and that helps us keep the system more secure, sure, but it's also something a lot of people don't like. I'm not saying all that's going away, but I do see a step back from the cliff with Windows 11, which I think is positive.
What they didn't really say, or maybe I missed it, is, okay, we're letting you put Win32 apps in the store, or we're letting you bring all these other kinds of app types to the store. But they never really said, and they just said, and don't worry, it'll be good. Like, you won't be at risk for these being in the store, right? Did they even say, like, how are we vetting this? Like, what's the certification process? They just said, we're going to have a lot of eyes on this, and you're not going to be at a risk if you download from our store. But I want more than that. Like, I want to know what are they doing, right?
Well, I don't know.
They said that, right?
I feel like you're either going to be completely locked down or you're not. And there's really kind of no middle ground. And that what the Microsoft Store is going to kind of evolve into, in some ways, is a hybrid situation where, obviously, if you're creating a UWP app, it's a native mobile app that is very much locked down. Those things are going to be very secure, but and the updating process is going to happen through the store. You as a user is not going to necessarily understand that that's it's not like you think they could put like a green circle on it or a yellow circle, red, whatever. But if you're a web app, like a PWA, that thing's updating over the internet. Outside of the store, has nothing to do with the store. There's nothing Microsoft can do to stop that. And that, not that most developers would ever do this, but there's nothing stopping malicious or poorly written code from happening, and the store's not going to help with that. There's nothing the store can do about that. But that's the reality. And I think, look, we live in a world where people say, I don't care about privacy because I like Google Maps, and I don't care if people are tracking me because I like Google search, and okay, but I mean, it's just, Windows is part of that side of the planet for sure. It's not the Apple side.
Right.